Hello, everybody. This is Pras from the FPL Wire, and I'm back with my team selection video for Gameweek 4. International break has been long, but actually I enjoyed it. You know, you sort of spend so much time thinking about things preseason, and then make your team, all that stress. And I actually was happy with no games for a weekend. Got some work done, some travel done, so just came back. And actually, one of the reasons with the travel, I'm a little bit tired, and so this might be a shorter video, which is supposed to be. I mean, I'm not going to try to go beyond 10-15 minutes regularly, unless there's some marquee week, like a wildcard window or some major issue. So without further ado, I'm going to go through the process like I've been doing on a weekly basis. And I'm going to, as usual, start with how last week went. Now, it's been a while, but last week was good and bad. And I think the good was just having Salah and Haaland. And this was, the first 3 weeks were the weeks where I was taking a bet. I was taking a bet with not going Saka and using the money, 2.5 million from elsewhere to get to a Salah. Because I knew after Game Week 3, the popular moves are going to be Saka to Salah or somehow trying to get Salah. And at this point, I was also open in my Game Week 1 thoughts that maybe I could sell Haaland if Watkins was looking amazing. I could do 2 moves with Haaland down to Watkins and Smith Rowe up to Palmer. These are all things that I was contemplating. But as it's turned out, fairly lucky with some of these peripheral picks as well. Like Smith Rowe has done okay. Like 1 return in 3 games is okay. Rodgers, no return in 3 games, but still is popular because his 2 fixtures are good. He's still playing minutes, and I'm still very happy. And you'll see that I still trust him. And even the defense, Trent is doing really, really well. I think the time for Arsenal defense, again, is getting, you look at new wildcards, not a lot of people have Arsenal defense, maybe some Rayas. But the next couple of games, I'll talk about fixtures. I think Konza, Robinson have good fixtures. So team looks fine. And João Pedro has worked out as well, even though I benched him this week. No regrets. I think that's the way I play. Away to Arsenal, I was never going to play him. So absolutely no issues. And it was a healthy green arrow with just Salah and Haaland carrying the team. So I will take that. Rank irrelevant. I'm not going to be talking about rank. But I think overall points I'm on. Actually, I don't remember my overall points either. It's a good start. I'm happy with the start. So before I get to my team, I actually wanted to also cover, only for 2-3 minutes, our sleeper draft. So you might have seen on the timeline, we've been talking about this draft that we did with Bakar, with Mark FPL General, the Black Box guys, FPL Mate, Andy Let's Talk FPL, Abdul FPL Salah, Gianni, Holly, and Sam and Lee. And so it was an amazing experience. I think when I will pod with Zoff tomorrow or Thursday to timestamp it, we'll talk about the experience of the draft itself and sort of the things that we really enjoyed. But I have to say, it was a lot of fun. Like I enjoyed co-drafting with Lateriser and Zoff. They were, and you can see us in column 3, we were the 3rd pick. So we obviously went with Saka as the 3rd pick. So even then we were debating, should we get Palmer or Saka? Lateriser was more on Palmer. Zoff and I basically vetoed and we said, no, we have to go for Starboy Saka. We'll see how that turns out. And then in the next 2 picks, those guys were very nice. They let me pick my picks because I was very adamant that we need to go for forwards. Like in a game of 10 people, these days, there's not a lot of FPL forwards anymore, especially ones that are on penalties or, can have sustained minutes. Like if you think about the teams after Haaland, Arsenal have, Havertz. Then you can think of Isak, you can think of Watkins, but then it starts to get pretty dry. You can go to Solanke. So we had the next pick, and I went for João Pedro, and even in our 3rd pick, I went for Jackson because I wanted to get 2 forwards in. And then I think there's some very, very sexy Lateriser picks here. And Zoff, to be fair. Like Zoff was keen on João Felix, and obviously LR loves him. We were all very keen on Szoboszlai, and with the Elliott injury, very happy to have him. Harvey Barnes, I think he will nail down a place. So he was a really, really nice pick. And I think one thing about the draft is you can change the rules. So this is going to be FPL points. And you also find out the lineup and you can change your team based on that. So you see a lot of X-minute risks in our team. the idea is that, if a Sterling is starting, you put him. And if a Grealish is not starting, you just swap the two guys. In defense, you see a lot of LR picks here. You see Maatsen, you see Rico Henry, so Luke Shaw. Even in forwards, he went for Højlund. So, that's it. We don't want to sort of, bore you with everyone's picks. I'd love to know who you think between these guys. Tell me which column do you think is working out the best. I am quite happy with our team, actually. And then I also wanted to share, if you guys were keen to play, then you see these two QR codes on the left and the right. So the left one is if you wanted to play a draft game, just scan the QR code. It'll take you to the app where you can download it. And then if you wanted to join the Wire Pick'em League, which we have talked about in the past, I won a Man United jersey this week, which is, a little bit, I won it, so I will get the prize as well. So I picked the third kit for Man United. A couple of other people from Discord won. We also had an overall Wire Pick'em League winner. You just have to pick who you think will win or draw. The result of every single Premier League game. Over 3 game weeks again, I won the jersey with 22 correct picks out of 30. If you think you can do better, join us. So that was on Sleeper. Now let me go to the regular routine of going through the ticker. It's getting smaller. Like Wildcard will be active on the Saturday morning of, as soon as basically game week 5 finishes and the 5 deadline has hit, Wildcard will be active. So now we are very laser focused on what is in front of us only for 2 game weeks, almost like a 2-week free hit. I had 3 free transfers going into this week, and I could have actually made none, to be very honest with you. I went a little bit luxury shopping, and I'll talk about my 2 transfers that I've made, but this is what I have in mind. Brighton have Ipswich at home and Nottingham Forest at home. Easily the 2 best fixtures over the next 2 weeks. So I wanted more Brighton. I was already stuck with Barco. I have João Pedro. So adding a third made sense for me. A lot of people are looking at Minte. A lot of people are looking for a defender. Ipswich are okay. I mean, they're here second, but they're 2 away games. So I don't know what to make of them. And then Crystal Palace, 2 lovely home games again. Leicester at home and Manchester United at home. I think they should do well. Man United invite a lot of shots. Eze loves shots. And those of you who followed my journey know that one of my regrets of Game Week 1 was not going Eze. I have fixed that. So, again, I will come to it. And then Southampton fine. Villa, again, Everton home, Wolves home. A lot of people are looking at Watkins if there was no minutes issues. Watkins has scared everybody a little bit, with the minutes subbing off, these messages on Duran, people saying, this guy thinks he's better than Watkins himself. I don't think he is. Watkins will still be the main man, but he will play the Champions League. This isn't the Europa League time or the Conference League time where they can rotate and Watkins doesn't need to play every game. Champions League, he'll probably have to play. So the minutes have to come down. And when you start to compare him to other strikers like an Isak, who'll probably keep playing because Newcastle aren't in the Premier League, for me, I have a free transfer. I have enough money in the bank to go Isak to Watkins. Isak might drop. I'm still not going to do it. So in certain cases where I believe the player, I'm not going to do it because of price. In other cases where I believe the player a little less and the guy I'm getting in, I believe even more, a bit like Gordon to Eze, I'm going to do that. So that's a little bit where the thinking is with these guys. And then Liverpool finally, again, 2 nice home games. So there's nice pairings of 2 homes for people looking at these I wouldn't say dead end because your transfers carry through the wildcard, but closing out to your wildcard. I think looking at teams like Liverpool, 2 home games, Villa, 2 home games, Brighton, 2 home games, Crystal Palace, 2 home games, lovely teams to target. And Fulham, 2 home games, but those are trickier 2 home games. So West Ham away, West Ham home, Newcastle home are good I would say decent 2 home fixtures. Could they win one of those and draw one of those? Possible. Could they lose both? Also possible. So it's Fulham. So we don't know, but they're on paper okay fixtures. And then at the bottom end, Brentford, a lot of people went Boomo. They got rewards. Well done. But I think that was the week to do it. This isn't the week to do it. He could do all right against Man City, and then Spurs away is also decent. But I think it's after Game Week 5 that you really want him, or Game Week 5 arguably, not this week. Arsenal, again, like I mentioned, away Spurs, away Man City. I'm okay not having their defense. Saka could still do well. But with the Odegaard injury, also this impacts their shape a little bit, right? I mean, now probably Havertz has to play the Odegaard role. You have to play Jorginho and Partey. Um, who would play up top? Maybe Jesus if he's back. You could have Sterling playing there, Trossard playing there. Who plays on the left? Could be Martinelli, could be Sterling or Trossard. Something like that is what will eventually happen. But what they will have bodies, but what does it do for the team? Like a player like Odegaard in a game which is high paced, fast transition. You won't have the ball all the time, but you need somebody to basically link the defense to attack. I think he would be very important. Arguably, is also very important for Saka because his interplay with him, White, and Saka is very important on the right. So we will see. We'll see how long Odegaard is out for. I think the current online physios are thinking it's 3 weeks or something until the next international break, which sounds okay, but no idea, and we won't know. Like Arteta is not going to come out and say he's definitely in or definitely out. Most likely, because it's the North London derby, he's going to say it looks bad. We'll see. But I would just, if you have him, I would be inclined to sell. Obviously, pending further news from the pressers and actual MRI scans, not just Twitter assessments. That's the fixtures. Let's go to what is right in front of us now this week. So again, Man City right at the top for expected goals. So this is from Rob T again. I want to shout out to him every week because I use this slide every single week. So I wish I can just have a regular shout out to Rob T. And Man City highest, almost 3 goals expected. People will just captain Haaland again. Like people who don't have Haaland, I think Salah is a good option as well, 2.8 goals. So the markets have started to trust Liverpool in the sense of they're almost set to match a Man City in terms of number of goals. And then you have Brighton and Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. These are the 3 interesting teams that people are now chasing some upside with in the next couple of weeks, which I talked about. They don't not only have a good fixture this week, but also have a good fixture next week. So good entry points for these 2 teams. I think even if you're not on if you're not even wildcarding later, jumping on these teams right now isn't the worst idea. So that's where the juice is in terms of predicted goals scored. Look at Chelsea here. Chelsea are actually below Crystal Palace, Aston Villa. So people looking at Palmer moves, people looking at Madueke. I still think there is more value in an Eze or more value in an Aston Villa if Rodgers can get back to form. Or I'm not comparing Rodgers to Palmer, by the way. It's a completely different bracket. But I'm just saying as a team to target, I like Brighton and Villa. Chelsea is away to Bournemouth, and you saw how Newcastle struggled against Bournemouth. So we'll see. And then the other thing that's stood out to me is Newcastle still fine. Like 1.85 goals expected are basically the same as Arsenal or more than Arsenal. So don't give up on Newcastle. I think the eye test from our short-term view says, okay, they are still not back, but it takes 1 game for it to come back because they're not in Europe. This is the time where the advantage starts to show because everybody was not playing midweek. Now people will play midweek. So, of course, international break, Game Week 4 doesn't matter. But I think after this, when people will play midweek while they will prepare for their Game Week 5 fixture against Fulham, that's when it'll show compared to others. Of course, Fulham don't have midweek themselves. So that's that. In terms of clean sheet odds, again, Man City great, Liverpool very high. When you think about the Trent upside with this clean sheet odds in mind becomes absolutely essential. Like if you don't have Trent this week, try to get Trent this week. Brighton very, very high, home to Ipswich. I'm not too sure about it. Like I have got a Brighton defender now. I like these odds, but Ipswich have been all right. Again, small sample. Villa, again, very nice odds. So 40% and above is decent. Like you see Arsenal most weeks is 40% above. This week Arsenal is down to 22%. Fulham, so I'll talk about my benching dilemma between Robinson and my Brighton defender. 24% is low. Like people have said West Ham are an attacking output. They were absolutely fantastic from an attacking point of view against Man City as well. I think kudos. Bowen and company will give them a lot of problems. So Fulham 24% clean sheet odds seems right. And then people looking at Porro, 17%, not great. I don't think, like if you have a decision between a Porro and let's say a Brighton defender or a Konza, look, I'm a conservative guy. I'm still going to play Konza. More than double clean sheet odds are meaningful. That they mean something. But if you're debating between a Porro at 17% and Arsenal at 22%, play Porro. Like, that's minimal difference in terms of clean sheet odds. Porro can still get you the attacking return. I know Arsenal can as well. But it just feels like Porro has more in him, takes more shots, more active, more fun to watch. So that's where we are with this week. So the two transfers that I've made are Gordon to Eze. So something that I wanted to do always, and I've talked about it. And so I'm glad I have him home to Leicester. And the second transfer was Lewis Hall to Dunk. This one is a little bit of a luxury transfer. Actually, even both are luxury transfers, because I could have, if I didn't like Gordon, I could have just played Smith Rowe and Robinson home to West Ham, right? But it was a case of having 3 free transfers. Prices were moving. Gordon was dropping. Hall is about to drop or set to drop. In fact, he's been looking likely to drop for a while. And as has Isak. So it's not like I've just dropped them because of prices. Like, I'm holding on to Isak. But the idea with the other two is I love the replacements. Like, I like the idea of going for Eze, and I like the idea of going for Dunk, because I think he's got 2 very, very good fixtures. Now, I did consider Rico Lewis, by the way. I had money in the bank. I have 0.5 now left in the bank. So I could have done Rico Lewis as well. The problem was, he's gone on and played for England, done very well. Now you see Walker is in training. If you don't get any leaks, I was like, why should I then play him? Then I'll just play Robinson, right? I mean, I don't want a cameo. And then next week he's playing Arsenal. I was not going to play him again anyway. Like, a lot of people who have Rico Lewis plan to bench him next 2 weeks after this, when they play home to Arsenal and away to Newcastle. So I'm like, okay, let's just get Dunk. Let's be safer. Let him rise. If he rises to 4.8 even, like he's now 4.7. If he's 4.8 by wildcard time, if he's still starting, I'll go for him. No problem. No regrets. I'm not expecting between Dunk home to Ipswich and Rico Lewis home to Brentford to be such a massive gap. Of course, you can be punished, but I'm okay with that. And I also actually have to think about Dunk home to Ipswich, and then Dunk home to... Sorry, I keep forgetting who did they play again. Dunk home to an NFO versus Rico Lewis home to Brentford, and then I'll have to play Robinson home to Newcastle. So that didn't really fit for me. I can understand why people would go for Rico over Dunk if they're on wildcard, because Dunk's fixtures after game week 5 are not the best. And that's when you want Rico after game week 7. So I get it why people are going for it on wildcard, but for people like me who are set on a wildcard 6, there's no need to do that. So that was the thinking with Dunk. And Eze is quite clear. I think Eze could... He's now 6.9, which I think is cheap. Like, it's too cheap for Eze. And I think he will now stay in my team even through the wildcard. So happy to have him now. Maybe get a price rise, buy him for 6.9, and then get a couple of returns, and then keep him on the wildcard. That would be the idea. The other dilemma I had was Rodgers over Smith Rowe. I've just gone with the gut on this, actually. The models are very close on them. Like with Smith Rowe, I'm just feeling that route to points are difficult. Like, I would even think like Andres Pereira, when I watch them, at least he's on set pieces. He's taking corners. He's taking free kicks. Between him and Pereira, there's no big difference between the role. They're playing like dual 8s. So he's fine. He could do well if you're starting him. Fine, fair enough. Not a bad pick at all. But just I have my expectations a little bit lowered. Both from Fulham's underlying data, again, very small sample size, but just early doors, and from Smith Rowe. So I'll see. Look, if on the press conferences I find out that Konza, who limped, wasn't limping, but I think he came off with a minor injury, if he's not ready, happy play Robinson. If anything happens to any of my guys, either before the pressers or after, I'm very happy with these two, because now I don't need to make any further transfers. You've seen the fixtures my guys have. Pretty much, 2 Brighton, 2 home games now, 4 and 5. 2 Villa, 2 home games, 4 and 5. Triple Liverpool, home games 4 and 5. Double Crystal Palace, home games 4 and 5. And Isak and Haaland are Isak and Haaland. So this team is good. So I will keep it. I won't make a transfer. Let's say even João Pedro gets injured next week. I'll just play Smith Rowe and play 5. So I'm intending not to, if I can, famous last words, not to make now a transfer until wildcard 6, and then basically carry 3 transfers out of the wildcard, which hopefully is a position of strength. So to summarize, Hall is out for Dunk, and Gordon is out for Eze. That gives me 0.5 in the bank. I've saved the drop on Gordon because I did it before Gordon dropped. If Hall drops, I've saved that as well. And this team is looking nice. Everyone's team looks nice this week because a lot of popular teams are playing at home. So it's going to be a volatile week where it's going to take like 1 or 2 hauls from any player. It could be Muniz's turn this time. It could be Munoz's time. I'm rooting for those 2 guys because my pod partners both have him. They deserve some Munoz points. They're big supporters of him. Home to Leicester, I expect good points. Watkins could go wild. And so I think there'll be swings. Prepare yourself. Don't be under this illusion that your team looks great. Everyone's team looks great this week. So that's it from me. If you like the stream, please like the stream. And I will see you with Zoff on the main pod on Thursday. Good luck, everyone. I'll see you next week.